we've never done a proper intro that's smooth in terms of hello everybody and welcome to Grace's hair.
I know, and I was fixing it at the start of the last one as well.
I had an embarrassing moment this week with my live stream of my Corlin and Og Youth Summit, where it had gone live, but it had a kind of a delay. So I was like scratching my head and all looking around. So that's the first thing people see when they click on the video. It's absolutely.
I'm gonna go look at that after this.
And then people, no, I'm not.
No. Tell the people about pockets of positivity.
Welcome everybody. We have our third video. We hope you're all keeping well. Today we are doing a new topic, and it is pockets of positivity. And so it's not from any kind of playbook of well-being. It's just something that we're chatting about as an interesting one, because we like at the moment things are not so great as such. Like there isn't a kind of prevailing greatness about life at the moment, but it's not all bad, and that's a message that we don't want to just transmit that message and tell you, because that's kind of toxic positivity. So we don't want to fake it, and we don't want to be saying it'll be grand, there's a silver lining, chin up everyone. But we do believe that there are pockets of positivity out there. And we want to prove that by sharing some of ours. And what we also believe is that, we think you have pockets of positivity, and there's something about how you recognize them, or maybe reflect on the fact that you did have them and give attention to that, rather than, when you're at the end of it, how was your day? And your brain goes to the bad stuff automatically. And I think that's we're hardwired for that. I'm gonna propose, because back in the day, if you didn't remember at the end of the day where that big lion was that tried to kill you this morning on your way to collect water or something, then you wouldn't be able to tell other people that be careful when you're going down, or you wouldn't be, the next time you see this big cuddly fluffy thing, go over and try and pet it, and then it bites your face off. So I think we're hardwired to remember the negative things so that they serve us. But within all that, we think that pockets of positivity have potential. That's a lot of P's there, isn't it?
Yeah, we should have just add that. Pockets of positivity have potential down the bottom.
Pure potential. So we're going to share with you some of our pockets of positivity from recent times. But what does it mean for you, Grace?
Yeah, and it means similar. And when you say we're hardwired, it's true. Our brains are wired like that. But what we also know about our brains now is that they're plastic, so they can change. So it's literally like lifting up a heavy dumbbell every day, and then it gets lighter and lighter the more times you do it. So like, I'll speak for myself. Like, it's not Grace comes on every week, and the people who know me will be like, we can attest to this. It's not like I come on every week and like, hey, I'm still positive. Here's all my positive, like sometimes I like, the grumpiness or being cross or whatever. But so and especially for this challenge, I had to set the intention to sit down and do it. And then I did feel better when I did do some reflecting. But also, we've been chatting about, in this time, we're all being asked to support one another and show up for one another. And sometimes, that means you have to really, really show up and be active listening with someone, or give them a perspective, or walk through a tough time with them. But sometimes you might just need to be a pocket of positivity for someone else. And that means, sometimes if someone's really struggling, but they've talked it to death, or they're working through it in their own mind and they're getting support, then maybe they need you to just send them, did you watch the latest, The Queen's Gambit? And what did you think of the acting? Or what did you think of the storyline? Or, that was so funny, that this video. So don't underestimate as well the power of pockets of positivity in friendships to support people. Because they're as powerful sometimes as sending on a deep and meaningful quote, or asking, how do you really feel? So that's real. And there might be an idea we just thought we'll share our own as a kind of catalyst, maybe it'll spark one in yours. And I'm hopeful. I'm excited to hear Daisy's, because that makes me feel good that he's had positivity, but also might remind me of some of my own. And it's just about setting a practice, just like a workout for your body. It's a workout for your brain.
Pockets of positivity practice with potential. Sorry, what's else?
For the pandemic. No, let's not mention the other P word.
So 2 things stand out to me before we dive in is that it's about, so you can do it with intention. So you can start your day and say, yeah, like today it's Monday morning. But if I have an intention that I will actually look for or create pockets of positivity for myself or for others, and both of those can serve you equally, I would say. But also, I think there's something like, so a pocket of positivity isn't just a hit, isn't just like a dopamine surge. It can be so much more than that. So I like the word savor. So that, that thing about reflecting at the end of the day, how was your day? That if you have pockets of positivity, to savor them again and again. If you recognize them, then they can be, they're available to you as a memory, as a moment, as a pocket that will make you feel good. And we know we do that. But I think the more we do it intentionally, I think the more, especially at the moment where, let's be fair, the percentage of negativity could be higher for a lot of people. So the pockets are something to build on. And
it's such a good metaphor. Like, pockets are what you use to carry around. Like, that's literally it.
Wow. Will we just end it here?
Yeah. Look at it. Can I just say, look at oh no, it's this side, the grayness. I quite like that. It's only on one side. I've just noticed that. Maybe it's the light. Anyway, because I'm in a different room now.
Pockets of nature. Go for it.
Okay. So, as we know, I like to run, and I run with really loud music, not heavy metal. Sorry. But a bit of Missy Elliott, the tempo is just right. But I had a moment of the day where I was running up by Braehead, and I was so tired. So I took a break. I took off my headphones, and like, I had just come out of, like, I daydream when I run. So I was like back into the world, and I could hear birds, right? And I was like, oh, that's cute, like the birds. And then I had this moment of, the birds don't know what coronavirus is. The birds don't know that we're all locked down. The birds are just continuing on. They don't know what day it is, but they are just there. And it was like this overwhelming feeling of, there is so much of the world that's not affected by this. And I'm just going to listen to that and tune into it. And it was like, and then it was so comforting as well, because I was like, I remember like 2 years ago hearing the birds up there, and it was before all this. And then knowing that in 2 years, or hopefully, I'll be able to hear the birds again, and it'll all be over this particular challenge in life. And it was just class. And it was this, like, so I'm going to try to, like, look out for a couple more of them, but I don't know if you could create those moments, but it was really special to, like, remember that nature is continuing on, and is, like, where we live is actually just okay and continuing on. So that was my pocket of nature. Do you want to do a pocket of nature, or will I ask you a pocket of something else?
Mine's about birds as well. So because I sit beside a window, it's always the birds. But because I don't get to spend time as such out in nature, mine is like being in the back garden and making a pocket of positivity by going outside, close my eyes, stand in the grass, breathe, listen, be present. And honestly, like, that serves me so well. Like, and I take that pocket.
Do you do it every day or every couple of days?
I try to.
All right, tell us then, because if I'm going to ask you tell us about a pocket of productivity that you have, because I imagine that you need a break from your productivity to go stand in the garden. So tell me about the pockets of productivity, or do you have them at the moment?
So like pockets of productivity for me it's like, there used to be a guy on Irish television called 40 Coats. who like this is Irish childhood TV, but I'm just imagining like 40 pockets. So because I do so much stuff across all my jobs, pockets of productivity are for me kind of little moments where I've moved forward or I've resolved something, or so I rely on them actually quite a lot to feel momentum. And again, that's about saying that, right, I've done that. I've set my things that I have to do today. I know I won't get them all done, but if I make a bit of progress, then that's a pocket of productivity. And that's kind of both inside the work world, but also in your gaff. So we like doing the chores with my heavy metal tunes is also about productivity, getting stuff up to the attic that's been sitting there for ages. Like so, but again, like when I do it with intention and I recognize that is productive, I feel that now and all good. So yeah, that's for me. Pockets of productivity are important to like a lot of my work is big stuff, but that can be broken down into so many little bits of productivity. So it's not about getting to the end as such, it's about making your way towards it. That can represent a pocket of positivity to me.
And do you find, like, I find it a little bit when I savor a pocket of productivity that I've had for the last week, it gives me a bit of energy to do another one this week.
Yeah, it's an achievement. An achievement. Yeah.
So, but having said that, I want to talk about pockets of non-productivity as well, because I've had lots of them in the last week. I saw I don't know, I saw it on TikTok, but it was a tweet. I don't know how, anyway, but it was like, it was like saying the internet says, it's okay to not be productive in a pandemic. My brain, accept you. Me, accept me. And I'm like, that is it. Like we all say, it's okay to slow down. It's okay to not be as productive as you normally would, except for you, of course. You must be producing to the same level. So I like, and there is most definitely deadlines and tasks, and sometimes you don't get to just work when you feel like it. That's the truth. But there is also times I noticed, so I was going to do an extra hour of work this weekend than I normally would on a piece of work, and I sat down to do it, and I knew, like, I was just drained. Like I had no energy, no motivation, and no deadlines, but I was still trying to make myself be productive for some reason. And what I noticed was I picked up my phone, went on TikTok for 1 hour, and then noticed that I'd been on TikTok for an hour, and I just had such a laugh to myself. I was like, there's no point in me beating and then I closed the laptop, I went downstairs and I played the new Assassin's Creed game, because I was like, this is so funny. Like, this is just, I have to, my body is telling me you need a pocket of non-productivity now. Enjoy it, rather than not enjoying and forcing yourself to try to be productive and not being productive anyway. That's a negative. You're doing the exact same thing. You're not being productive, but you could, if you have the intention of, I'm going to enjoy and savor it, then.
That's actually very important, because it's by defining it as a pocket of non-productivity that you're kind of separating it from this sense of what productivity means, but it's also a pocket of something else, isn't it? At the same time. So it's a pocket of positivity, because you're tuning out of, again, all those expectations and you're accepting, which is one of the 5 a day, that it's okay to sit and hop off TikTok for an hour. Absolutely 1,000,000% okay. And actually,
like, benefit, like, if you think about, right, let's say that behavior of an hour of TikTok, if I decided that was supposed to be a pocket of productivity and it wasn't, and it was wasted, I'd feel bad. I wouldn't be able to savor it, and I'd be like, oh, if I did the exact same thing, went on TikTok and for an hour and said that was such a good pocket of and I'm going to ask you about it, humor and non-productivity, I really enjoyed that. It changes the whole thing. My behavior is the same, but my perspective on it is different.
So yeah, so your mindset can be a factor there, and how you decide to give something meaning is in your control as well, I suppose. And that's kind of about then I decide to label it pocket of positivity and pockets of humor.
Yeah. Very easy for me because I'm so funny. I make myself laugh. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. So I get a lot of pockets of humor in my life because I live with a guy called Fionn, and I can't describe in words. I've also this week gone by. I had I teach on Thursdays in Liberties College, and it's all online teaching at the moment. So like a pocket of humor for me this week. So like I teach social justice principles, full on module in youth and community studies in Liberties College. And on Thursday, we were in the zone doing good online in our class, and I take full responsibility. I asked a question, which was just a cheeky question. And everyone, by the time students get to know me, they know I'm distractible. So if people are kind of need to just pull us out if we're at whatever, like just ask Dermot a certain topic of question and we'll take him off on a journey and he'll realize eventually and bring us back. But anyway, we descended into chaos like as a group, and there was messing, there was slagging, there was shenanigans. Then people started turning their screen sideways so that they were like this and upside down and putting backgrounds, and it was like hilarious. And I just had to, again, because I on some level, even though I'm serious, I respect that. And I need the humor, so it was absolutely. And it descended into. I don't know if I reclaimed any attention from them by the end of it, but we got there, and I think again, like, so I could say, I lost them, and that was like, what sort of a teacher am I? But really, I was like, that was good for us. That was good for all of us to be together and have crack, and maybe there wasn't deep and meaningful learning happening, but we were connected. And we were all on the same page in terms of the laughter. So,
and like I remember in the last video, you said humor was a guiding light for you as well. So by knowing 100%. That, you know that you've reminded me of my own pocket of humor from the last week, which is the best one. And I actually might need to get some guest stars to do an example. Not right now because they're not in the house, but my family decided to do impressions of me on these videos. So they were like, and I was being dead serious talking about something. They're like, Grace, you know what you do a lot? You say we're going on a journey. And I was like, oh my God. And then you use your hands to like, let's go on this journey together. I couldn't breathe. And then the more, when someone's doing an impression of you and it's so spot on, and then see, I'm doing it now. So I started to react, but doing the thing that they were making fun of, but by accident. It descended. I couldn't tell the rest of my story because I was like, I can't not do what it was so accurate. It was just amazing. Like, so like laughing at yourself as well, like easy for me to do because I'm so funny, but like it was just amazing. Like that gave me energy for the night. It was so good.
And I think that's the pandemic is doing that as well, is that we're spending so much time. My family kill me on my laugh. So I'll be, because I laugh at my own jokes just to try and get, because they're funny. But then Susanna will just burn me from the other side of the room by copying my laugh, and then the lads will join in, and then so like I think we are kind of picking up on each other's little characteristics. So cool. Yeah,
and it was so good as well because they were doing an impression of me when I'm trying to be serious and be like this wise, and they're just able to be like, "We'll take you down 4 pegs." Which actually brings me on nicely. I don't know if you have another one. Do you want to do first?
No, it's your turn.
For my own or to ask you about one?
Yeah, no, you asked me about humor, so it's back on you.
Oh yeah, fair. Okay. Because it reminded me of pockets of affection. And because the way that we do affection has had to change, right? Because we can't really go out and hug everyone, which is, for someone like me, so difficult. But you have to adapt the way that you show affection. So like I was thinking of a couple of examples. Like one is from the first lockdown where a friend of mine took the time to write me a letter and post it to me rather than text me, and included little stickers in it. And it was like that you took the extra time to do that is a real way of showing affection. Or I think I said in the last video we did, when someone sends you a song that they think you'll like, or a funny video that they think you'll like, or having to do, like I have 2 friends who are on the front line, and I was like, how can I had bought them a packet of sweets each, and then I ate the sweets. So like in the first lockdown, I was like, how can I show them I'm thinking of them, and like got them a little voucher for to get a takeaway, because like I can't meet them. I can't call it. One of them lives in Dublin. I can't call it to the house. So it's like, I'm loving the way that people are being dynamic in the ways that they show affection, because we can't just hug each other, and it's not. And again, and as well, like we were saying at the start, being mindful of how you can show affection in different ways as well, is really useful.
Yeah, and it kind of makes me think of the pockets of connection and the kind of the underlying affection. We had a random one during the week where, so again, any maybe parent or a young person, or maybe anyone out there who doesn't know about the game Among Us, which is an online game. Yeah, so we had my kids have been obviously playing it flat out, but we decided, so myself and Susanna decided, well, give us a shot, lads. We'll get in on the action. And then we decided that we would invite our Spanish nephews, or the cousins, the guys' cousins over in Spain, who we haven't seen this summer. And again, it's kind of, there's a gloom about that, but we thought, let's try and connect with everyone. And we managed to get all 6 of us into an Among Us game together, and it was just so much fun. Like, it's so random, because we kind of sent them a WhatsApp, do you play Among Us? Do you want to? Here's our server, we're already there. And us scrambling around trying to figure out this game that they're experts at. And it's a bit like a werewolf for us, because there's the game that we play in the youth club a lot, or have done, where there's an element of voting people off within it, and there's an element of kind of somebody being the imposter who kills others, and if you get seen or get caught, and then you debate, and so it's really actually a savage game, to be fair. The developers, respect to them. But to turn something like that, whereas, again, like kids gaming is usually a background thing in a house. But why not get involved in it with them? And they were buzzing. Like, the lads were peeking off their heads at the idea that we were all. And then when the 2 guys logged in from Spain, it was brilliant. But lots of different pockets happening at the same time there, which was really, really lovely.
That's class. I must play it. I haven't played. I saw Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez played it, and the clips from that are hilarious, because she doesn't know what she's doing. That'd be me as well. Like, so I love gaming, but I'm terrible at it. But no, that's deadly. That's deadly. So, any more pockets?
Have you had any pockets of generosity?
Yes, actually. My poor dad, like, he is the most generous. No, in fairness, my whole family is. But actually yesterday, when I was just like, I've been in the house so many hours and it's only 3:00. What am I going to do? And he was just like, let's go and get a coffee. And we drove to get a coffee. But he was like, now you pick the music for the way there and the way back. And that would be really like, and he does that. Is sometimes he gives me a lift to work. And he, like, just that allowing, like, and he doesn't, now he likes some of my music, but some of it, he calls it thump thump music. And he just, it's just those little moments where he could be like, like, it's hard for him as well. He could be like, I want time to sit and listen to music in the car, but it was just so generous to just be like, and I'm going to take you for a coffee, and you can, and like, I'm very fortunate that my family have been like that, but I think they make a huge difference. And now that you've said about savoring it, I think I'm going to now get double the hit going for the next week. So that's going to be my intention, is to savor those moments. I haven't been generous at all. I'm just like, no, keeping it all to myself. I'm really messing. But have you?
Yeah, like the one that jumps into mind, actually, and it's kind of, again, it's a variety of different pockets of connection and generosity. When someone, like, the random, those, like you talked about at the start, where if you choose to create a pocket of positivity, but when someone decides to send you a message out of the blue, or someone I have a particular friend who I've been friends with since we were teenagers, but we kind of, we connect at times. But this particular friend, who knows who she is, sent me a picture of myself from my youth yesterday. And it was so funny. And it was so, again, that was a generosity of finding something that sparked that, and then thinking that would be, if I send that on, that'll be something nice. That'll be a little hit for that person, and to be that thoughtful and to kind of do it. And what made it extra funny is that we were clearing out my mother's house last weekend, and I found so much stuff from my childhood, my youth. It was like pockets of reminiscing, like it's like that little bag that Hermione Granger has, where it's just like you just everything's in there. But the deepest reminiscing I've been having. But it was a laugh because in the picture I'm wearing this red leather tie, and we I wore that tie at my confirmation, and it was the only formal tie I had for like I think my whole teenage years, like probably in my early 20s. And we had only been slagging me, including me, about it at the weekend, because we found a picture of me at my confirmation, and it was the exact same tie I was wearing at this, like at someone's wedding or something, where I was kind of semi spruced up. It was hilarious, and I still have the tie in my attic.
That doesn't surprise me. You're great for keeping things.
I'm a hoarder
but it's dangerous because I know I've gotten those pictures from you before where it's like me when I'm like 13 and I'm like just come into the youth club. I'm like, oh. the fear. People will relate to this when you're on Facebook and you get Dermot O'Brien has tagged you in a photo in CYB. You're like, what is it going to be? But it's always like that feeling of like, oh, it's exciting. Like to.
That's one of my today. As we're shooting this video, it's Paddy Griffin's birthday today. Shout out to Paddy.
Watch out, Paddy.
So I sent him a message saying, happy birthday, old son. I'll dig out a photo and stick it up later on.
Remember, I did get you back actually for your birthday this year, where I made a little video because I couldn't see you. And my favorite photo is you when we got a breakfast once, and I don't know, it was the monstrosity. And you're just like looking at this. Like, that's so good.
Never to be beaten, that brekkie, to be fair.
There's one pocket of positivity that I want to ask you about because I think you might have an interesting perspective. This could be a curveball, but what about pockets of solo time in this time?
Yeah, like it's so in general, solo time would be crucial for me. I think it's linked with my personality, or maybe it's just because I'm aware of my needs. But my personality or my character traits require me to have solo time as a way of recharging. But it's a little bit surreal at the moment because we're all kind of in a certain solo time scenario where we are cut off from a lot of the connections or a lot of the spaces or people that we would usually kind of. So I would kind of generate connection over a week, and then I would kind of fit in the solo time to recharge and regenerate my energy. And so at the moment, it's kind of finding solo time means. So I did it on Saturday. In the house. So doing it in the house can be weird. And again, if people don't know that that's how you operate, you could easily offend, I suppose, or say, people like, I'm going upstairs now to read. And people might be wondering, okay, what's the message behind this?
Yes.
So when that's a pocket of positive, so it's really, really critical for me. And it's, like I say, it's about recharging and re-energizing, and also just kind of cutting out the noise a wee bit. So I would do it like I'm a fan of David Gemmell books. I've read all of them at least 3 times, some of them for every book he's ever written, and I just go through them. So I kind of wait till if it's been years since I read this one the last time. So I finished one and started one this weekend. So I kind of did a thing where I was like, I don't know if it was Friday or Saturday night, where I just said to the guys, I'm gonna go up and finish my book. And that was me. Went upstairs, chilled out, and finished my book. But yeah, and again, it's that thing like that we said at the beginning. It's about intentional. So I do intentional solo time where I'm consciously saying I'm going to just spend some time, and it could be doing chores, but it's like me saying I'm switching off to all the stuff. I'm putting in the earphones, or I'm taking out a book, and I'm consciously doing solo time. And that is a pocket of positivity for me, even though it might sound strange.
And do you put your phone away when you do pockets of solo time?
Yeah, 100%. Unless it's playing the music that I'm listening to. But yeah, so I did, like I was saying to you earlier, a digital detox this weekend. The only time I connected with social media was to celebrate Katie Taylor's victory. But otherwise, I wasn't checking notifications, and I left my phone offside for the weekend. And again, that's one element of even trying to claim some pockets of positivity off the digital, out of the digital space or the online space.
I think it's like, I think the idea of solo time is so interesting because it's different for different people. Like me and you are different. Now I learned, so in the first lockdown, I was locked down with somebody else, and they know me really well and really care about me. We've a good connection. So, and they were able to say to me, do you know that you actually do need your time on your own? Because I always was like, I am 100% extroverted, 100% always need people. And it was a lovely moment, pocket of connection, when they were able to be like, from observing you, you actually do need some time on your own. Now, my need for solo time would be a little bit different, where I would need the complete breakaway, but very rarely. So what I would do is, like, I would much prefer, say, watching TV with people, but sometimes I might want to watch it on my own. But if people are coming in and out, that's okay. Or like, my solo time might be still on social media, but on my own in a room, or like, it's rare that I would need that much, but I still do need some, which I learned. And like, it could be even 10 minutes of reading at night, or going for a run, actually, I suppose is solo time with the headphones on or whatever. But so even if you are the most extroverted, like, I would choose a perfect weekend for me would be seeing every single person that I've ever met. I still might need some pockets of solo time, or like the train to the event on my own, listening to music is key. And I don't need it maybe for energy, but what I do need it for is to get my head straight, my thoughts clear, to stop the information overload. And I think in this time, especially, like, if you're in a household where there's other people, it's communicating, like you say to them, I'll be in a better mood actually if I just take these 10 minutes. It's not that I'm trying to shut you out, it's that I'm trying to get myself in a better zone for our connection. Yeah,
it's good to see the contrast. It's good to, because again, for everyone else out there, it's all in degrees, and it's really that self-awareness piece, isn't it? It's like knowing what you need and recognizing that, and then communicating that to those who need to know. And again, that obviously, if it's people close to you, they will appreciate and understand what your needs are. Will we do one more?
Sure.
So I'm going to curveball you with one. A pocket of learning that was positive.
Well, that example was good because I learned about that I need some solo time. But a pocket of learning over the last while, I've learned that, I'll tell you what is a big thing I've learned, is that if you'd have told me in March what would happen this year, I would have been like, can't handle it. Full stop. No arguments. I don't care what tools I know. I don't care how much Be Well work I've done. I won't be able to handle, having to stay in more, or not getting to see my friends or hug my friends or whatever. And I've learned how adaptive we can be when we need to be, and how there were still some really good times this year, despite everything that's happened. Now, that's a bit macro learning, but it's interesting that what it kind of taught me about myself was that I fear the thing happening more than it actually happening itself. And when it actually happens, I'm like, right, let's get through it. Let's do it. And then, so that's a kind of a macro positivity. But in the pockets of learning, there's a lot more time now to read. And again, there's a million things that would grab my attention, and I'm similar to you, that I'm easily distractible. So I don't know if I was telling you, I was reading the other day, and I had put the book down and was just humming to myself, and then noticed I was doing that, and I was like, whoops. So I had to pick the book back up. But I've learned so much. I'm trying to, there's books obviously that take you away, novels, and bring you to a different world. But there's also books, like I read a lot of Thich Nhat Hanh about, Buddhist kind of mindful appreciation of the world, or I'm reading Mary Robinson's book, and I'm learning all about her political journey and how she was resilient to all those challenges. So those there's learnings about who I am and how I'm handling challenges this year, but there's also little pockets of learning from others and from books and from documentaries and those kind of things that I'm really, really enjoying. And what I imagine is I'm just filling my brain with even more information for when we go back out I'm like, all the things I've learned and applying them, and that's really exciting to me. So have you
Cool.
pockets of learning?
Probably like, yeah,
You know it all already.
listen. No, actually, I think that if I was going to take any pocket of learning, it would be that there's always more learning. I know that might sound corny,
Mm.
but I've certainly discovered that there's even this week when we did the Corla Youth Summit for the first time in an online space, and you think you have it all planned out, and you're really taking a kind of a you've collectively decided to do this in this way because there's no really other option, and you embrace it and you try it, and then you realize that the young people out there are connected and have got things to say, and you can't predict necessarily what they are going to say or how they're going to say it or what's important to them, as such. And then you like when you're in spaces with the like at the moment in each county, the community response forum or all of the groups of practitioners getting together in the youth sector, children and youth sector, and they're looking to explore how to respond positively to what's going on at the moment, or how do we zoom in on the most vulnerable, and if we have resources, what are we going to do to respond to those, and there's learning there about how to present your idea if you have one, how to collaborate with others when you're not in the same room as them. So there's just definitely still more to learn. But again, it's like recognizing that there's something to like. So when I reflect on the youth summit, I will learn from that and share it with colleagues, share the learning. I spoke to someone already about, be aware that don't forget to have a full screen because everyone can see your background screens if you don't. But yeah, so pockets of
And it's
learning are
key. And there's something about like that. It's not this whole time that we're going through. It hasn't ended everything. So we were talking about before we did this video about how we will reflect on this time collectively, and there will be lots of pockets of learning within it. So there is, again, it sounds corny and it's not to do toxic positivity, but there's value in struggle often, and sometimes that value is learning. And I think that takes sometimes some of the sting out of the struggle when you know there's purpose in it, in learning. So whether it's learning how to do Zoom, which I'm still dodgy at, or learning something macro about yourself, about how you bounce back or what works for you, there is value in those pockets.
Cool. Any other random ones you want to do before we sign off?
What do I have on my list? Oh, dancing in the kitchen, pockets of joy. I'm just telling you, Alexa is my best friend. I'm like, Alexa, play the Supremes, play Dionne Warwick. I'm about to perform. When there's no one about, that's my 5 minutes of solo time. Or learning TikTok dances, pockets of joy. They can be 10 seconds long, but when there's nothing left, that's what I think. And we should, have you any random pockets before we sign off? Any random ones?
Pocket, yeah, like did I say? Yeah, pockets of reminiscing was the other thing that I didn't get into. But there's one funny one that I had. Again, people of a certain age will know this. That there's a yeah, you definitely are. There's a Facebook group called Stories of Old Court, that I helped set up with Jamie and Jen. But because it's getting into winter, I came across a picture of a Super Sare heater, which was like, and I put a post in a thing like, who remembers this type of thing, and it was like our life. That was where warmth came from when I was a child. This little gas heater, which was so toxic, the fumes coming out. It was, but it was so random, and it was so like the amount of people who were like, "Oh my god, you remember toasting bread on the heat out of these?" Because they were like little grids of they kind of lit up from a gas flame. But it's people talking about getting burnt off it and everything. But it was the pockets of reminiscing are definitely big for me.
I should dig out some old. I know we have old tapes in the. I don't even know if we have a tape player anymore.
I can sort you out there. I've got.
Can you?
Look in the background.
What? Oh no, that's I don't know what that is. It looks like I don't know. You're a good man for the technology. Oh,
Boombox.
you literally look like you're from the 90s.
Um,
Oh yeah. But what I would say is like it sounds a bit corny again, but we'd love to hear people's pockets of positivity underneath. It was lovely. Like I've had some people messaging me since the last one about the guiding lights and theirs, and people commenting and stuff. And yeah, like because like just like this conversation, you've said things that I'm like, oh yeah, that I did that as well. Or so sharing those pockets of positivity or using that, we would definitely love to hear it. You know,
and really choose to savor them. And because, like, you know, the way sometimes you almost feel guilty about having a positive experience when it's doom and gloom all around. It's like you kind of shouldn't be allowed to have joy or connection or feed off the positivity. We would say that you do, like, give yourself permission to find the pockets of positivity, to create them, but especially to savor them if you come across them.
Great.
Thanks for tuning in.